really small champion pool across a lot of their players, and it seems to really hurt them.
You're absolutely right with that assessment there. LGD, the nicest way to say it is they were considered quote a patch team. Obviously, Star is kind of the big standout there with his Riven performance. It was almost a mandatory ban against him when Riven was strong, and then as soon as you saw that patch that nerfed Riven, LGD instantly took a kind of a nosedive into the ground. Likewise, their jungler Chuan is pretty dependent on the Lee Sin pick. I don't know if he needs the dissonant, or not the dissonance, the sonic wave or echolocation to find his jungle camps, but I feel like literally if he's not playing Lee Sin, it's night and day to his actual jungling performance. Which I wanted to touch the Lee Sin pick a little bit later into Champion Select because I believe it's going to be one of the higher contested picks between World Elite Academy. WE.A and G, their jungler, is a big Lee Sin player as well. And again, Chuan is pretty much dependent, almost cripplingly so, on getting that champion.
And that's going to be a pretty hot ticket just for even both the junglers. I mean, you know, okay, Lee Sin is to say he's popular in China is probably a bit of an understatement. Just about the most played jungler across the region, and for these pros, everybody knows how to play him, even if it's not their favorite style. But these two junglers love it. Xuan and LGD, I mean, LGD's hyped quite a lot. I mean, a lot of World Elite Academy is, but he's pretty well known, and he plays a lot of Lee Sin, of course. And his opponent, though, you mentioned, so dependent on it. I don't know. I mean, they're going to get blue team once, but the time they don't, that first pick, you got to expect the Lee Sin ban coming out very quickly.
And the thing about Lee Sin that I find really interesting for China, because it wasn't that prominent a pick as far as like compared to the international scene around it, whereas like in NA and Korea, it's always like the top two junglers, Elise and Lee Sin, or it's actually a Lee Sin and like Elise. Kha'Zix was in there for a bit when he was like super strong, but now it's kind of like Eve, Kha'Zix, Elise, Lee Sin, but he's always been there, the prominent figure. In China, they didn't really always pick him. Like, yeah, you had junglers who played him, but it was more Elise, Kha'Zix, Pantheon, very big Pantheon. They played it very early. But now we're certainly seeing like a resurgence of Lee Sin, where he's played pretty much like every single game, and Rengar's obviously seeing a big pickup there, but obviously Insec coming over, and I feel like it's because these Lee Sin players were kind of laying in wait for LPL. You have Alan, who had a fantastic performance on Lee Sin, has stated publicly, drug OMG's, every time I say that, drug OMG's jungler. Yeah, so he played support last split, so obviously not going to see a Lee Sin support, although they have done some crazy picks in that role before. Obviously now in jungle gets to play that Lee Sin, which he has said is his favorite champion. You have Insec coming over from Korea, who is known for the Lee Sin play. I mean, there's a move named after him, so obviously him coming into this split now, big Lee Sin player there. And then you have WE.A and G coming up from LSPL, who's a big Lee Sin player. So it's not so much that it was seen last game or seen last split, but that these players now have the ability to play him, that we have these emerging Lee Sin players that we've suddenly seen a spike in his popularity.
Yeah, the jungling is, after ADC, probably one of a very preferred positions for a lot of these teams, just because they rely on it so much to make plays. But even then, you see a lot of these, they like kind of assassins, but they also like setting up their AD carries. They'll very specifically sit back and try to make this happen. And, you know, it seems like a lot of these teams are built definitely around their marksmen, but they can make plays on their own as well.
Yeah, but I want to go ahead and why the screen is on to the interjections for the team. So it looks like we're starting for LGD. That is going to be 17. He went by Q previously, but that is going to be their... Oh, excuse me. No, it's messing me up. It's going to be Star in the top lane.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be, you know, it looked like they were switching it up for just a minute, but they decide to move around.
I was so disoriented by which side they wanted to start with. But no, that is going to be Star in the top lane.
Yeah, they do that quite a lot, actually. It's very, very odd that they'll show sometimes the out-of-order kind of thing. So again, Star, big Riven player. This guy is probably going to... well, he does a lot of different things as well, but you know, he still is a little bit limited. And even since the Riven nerfs, we've seen him play it a good number of times. Kind of up in the air if they're going to ban that out on him, though. Is it almost not worth it at this point?
Yeah, and then we did see Chuan there. You saw that Lee Sin pick up for the mid lane is going to be their star player, WE.A. I've been really impressed with WE.A's performance so far coming into this that Diana counter pick when he went toe-to-toe with Corn's Kassadin against Starhorn Royal Club.
And that's like, it's one of those off picks that you don't exactly expect. And, you know, unlike the rest of LGD, WE.A. has a very deep champion pool. He can do quite a lot of stuff. And considering he came from, I believe it was Vici Gaming before the big roster shuffle and the mergers that happened there, you know, he definitely has a lot of good experience, and this is even coming from the LSPL, which, you know, it's always up in the air which teams are actually better, the LSPL or the LPL teams. Another big controversy, of course.
And then the last two here on the screen is going to be Q and PYL. Now, PYL is the captain of the team, and fun fact about Wayless, he did get a couple of offers from different teams across the LPL due to his performance. He specifically chose to stick with LGD because he believes in PYL's ability to captain the team. Definitely saw a huge performance again in that Starhorn Royal Club game. No one expected them to split that 1-1. Everyone expected LGD to kind of be the bottom tier team, which is why I really think you keep asking who's the top 3 teams of LPL this split. Everyone's going to say OMG, EDG, and then consistently across the board, the dark horse is Starhorn Royal Club, obviously with their all-star roster. I actually feel like the dark horse, the one that's going to shake things up, is LGD, and I feel like their performance today will really solidify this or not.
And this really spells out a lot for World Elite Academy. For a team as hyped as they are, this is a must-win for them. This is sort of a proving to the rest of the league that they are on that level, they're able to compete. And, you know, after disappointing against their sister team, pressure's definitely on for them.
On the screen, you did just see WE.A, their new support and kind of the captain of the team. Next to him is going to be the... I know, right? Got the segue. Next to him is going to be the SMLZ, the heir to Wei Zhao, handpicked by Wei Zhao, the apprentice, the king. Did I hype him up enough? He's just so little and adorable.
Well, then he's even more a prince.
Next to him is going to be WE.A. WE.A is well known for playing Annie mid. He actually looks like he's sitting really low in a seat. Look at his little hand, like, crouched up over. I feel like so many... They're either, like, one way or the other. They're either huge, really tall and, like, lanky, or they're super tiny and compact, and he's just very compact. We do see that Annie popping up as one of his played champions.
Yep, and, of course, not something you always see on the mid laners these days. I know it's really weird to say, but, you know, Season 4 and all the things that it's brought, that is one of them. So... Again, playing Annie mid, of course you saw he played Twisted Fate as well, so he can play other things, but definitely prefers it. And, you know, still one of those things that might warrant a ban and cause a little bit of problems for, for World Elite Academy.
Exactly. In their jungle, it did say Soas, but that is Love A and J.
That's another name that he goes by, though. We do have a lot of, what would you call it, a lot of aliases that kind of go on, not just name swaps. People kind of like to mix it up on the fly when they can.
They change their names more than I change shoes. It's pretty crazy.
It's like you put a name on in the morning?
Yeah,
That'd
pretty much.
Cool, actually. Well, no,
I think it's the Tournament Realm account. They just get on it and they have all that free RP, like, what do I want to be named this game?
Well, there you go. And, of course, the last player that we didn't quite go over is the top laner for World Elite Academy. It is XR. And, well, he plays Renekton and Shyvana, so welcome to the LPL.
But we're already into the picks and bans, and right out of the gate, a lot of mid laners being banned. Of course, that Lulu is primarily, typically a Lulu top, and that Thresh being banned away. So PYL is known as a Thresh player. Again, kind of LGD's running theme is they have very shallow champion pools, and it's very easy to ban them out. So obviously that's a big target there. But again, I think the point of contention is going to be this Lee Sin.
I really don't expect anything but that, just because they're kind of daring each other. Do I ban it out now, or do I wait for them to go? Of course, it is LGD on the blue side, and they're arguably more dependent on it. So if they don't ban it out, they force World Elite Academy to either ban it or definitely give it over to Shuan. And, well, they're daring it right now. The Twisted Fate ban comes up.
Followed by that Braum ban.
Okay,
and you have to let me know. I think I'm a little bit ahead of you, but
there it goes. Yes, you are.
The
but you
insta-lock.
just get to be like mildly psychic. And speaking of mildly psychic, nicely done on those predictions. Lee Sin locked in immediately. They are putting so much emphasis on Shuan.
We said over and over again, Shuan, he needs Lee Sin to perform. Love ANG, not so much. He is a good Lee Sin player, but I expected that this would be the point of contention. Very curious that it didn't go through as a ban, so they're kind of rolling the dice here. On the other side, hovering over the Nami Jax pick.
And the Jax, of course, is pretty popular, just in general as a good top lane carry, but they're also debating it now. What are they going to pick up? The Kazakhs as well. Nami, definitely going to be locked in. Nope, they move back to Jax at the end of it. So having Nami on support is a very popular thing right now in China. They've definitely been paying a lot of attention to what's been going on in the Korean scene, and frequently will play on those servers as well. But there hasn't been a whole lot of success despite the popularity of Nami.
You're absolutely right. If you actually really look at kind of how the Nami players are performing, it's very mixed results. I feel like a lot of Chinese support players, they're so used to playing Thresh. You have to think this is the region that had Annie support, that has LeBlanc, Syndra support, that has, Thresh, Leona, of course, very common internationally, but these supports bring this hard aggression, hard carry, I'm going to initiate the fight now. And Nami, though she does have initiating potential, like hard engage potential there, she's much more used as a disengage. So I feel like there's a little bit of confusion about how to use her, primarily in how to use her ult. I expect to see a lot of missed tidal waves for quite a bit.
And they tend to be used very aggressively, although this is a comp that definitely likes to go all in except for the AD carry, who's going to kite back, Kog'Maw being picked up in increasing numbers. Another thing that they, I believe, originated in Korea, they were looking at Deft there. So this is a composition that really can scale hard into late game, but does need some kills to get snowballing for World Elite Academy. On the other side, LGD locking in the rest of their team, and hey, we do see a Sona support. This is one of those pocket picks for PYL.
Yeah, he actually does have a few mage pocket picks, like you said. He's got a Karma and he has a Sona, which showed pretty impressive the last time he played it. Of course, Sona not huge in LPL, but we'll see if he's able to return to form here. Obviously, not too scary a pick. Typically, you don't want to pick Sona into someone like Thresh, like Leona, which is kind of why we saw her die out. Doesn't do so well in those lanes. If they decide to go a 2v2, of course, instead of a 2v1 split. Obviously, in a 2v1 split, Sona's going to have free reign because she doesn't have that lane pressure against her. If they do decide to go 2v2, Nami can be threatening if she hits the bubble, but otherwise, if she doesn't hit it, it's pretty much easy going, sustain lanes across the board.
And of course, we see the last lock-ins that went through there. For World Elite Academy, they do pick up Syndra, and this is something that is also fairly prevalent across the LPL, more so than in other regions. It is a strong pick generally, but it's not seen by as many people as it is here in China, and WE.A just trying to pick something that can go up against either the Yasuo or the Orianna. They do have the option to run the AP top, and you can see them trading it around, just not sure what they want to go with. And in the end, they do decide to send 17 to the top on Yasuo, but they have Orianna available in the mid, and that is just a very, very safe mid lane pick, especially if you're going into it blind.
I wanted to touch a little bit on WE.A's playstyle, especially with that Syndra pick. You did hit the nail on the head. Syndra is more prevalent in LPL than she pretty much is internationally, although that's starting to pick up and change a little bit as more mid laners recognize her power. He does play Annie mid. I know,
Sorry,
so much
resist.
Untapped power. He plays Annie mid, and you think about how that champion works. She's kind of like an all or nothing, goes in, drops a combo, huge burst damage. Syndra very similar in kind of the regards of how you play her. So I'm really curious to see how well that will translate across the board. Obviously, a very big pick for China, so I expect that he'll have a certain level of proficiency on the champion. But I feel like it definitely suits his playstyle coming as an Annie mid player.
I think it's absolutely something that's very translatable. There's not a lot of escapes on this team unless you do get the kills. You have the Kha'Zix, does not get his resets, of course, unless he does manage to pick the kills up, or the assists, of course. Syndra, expect that to be focused pretty hard by the jungle pressure of LGD, but by the same token, this is on LGD to really, really go forward and make a lot of plays in the beginning of the game. They certainly have a very focused on early kills and playmaking snowball style, and they will have some fall off later in the game. You have a Lucian ADC. Remember, this is still patch 4.9, so the Bloodthirster is still a pretty solid item to build on him, although I wouldn't be too surprised to see a Triforce as well.
And you're absolutely correct. LGD and World Elite Academy, they actually kind of rely on similar strategies. World Elite Academy very much about winning the lane. I feel like due to their inexperience kind of on a professional scene, obviously coming from LSPL, which they are hyped to be very well. They've competed with a lot of professional teams in various tournaments. Unlike LCS, the contracts don't prohibit the players from playing any tournaments outside it. So a lot of the Chinese teams are not just involved in LPL, they're involved in these other large tournaments around the area. They're very much about winning the lane. If they don't win the lane just super hard, they come out into the teamfight phase, and I feel like they look a little bit lost. They don't know how to translate their lead or their power effectively here. LGD, kind of similar. Obviously, they have a little bit more experience. They're a little bit more unpredictable, but I feel like both these teams are going to be hyper aggressive early, and the early game is going to decide the rest and tone of the game, which is curious because, like you said, World Elite Academy's composition actually scales better into that late game with that Kog'Maw pocket pick.
Some next level tactics that they're pulling out, actually. And Yeah, World League Academy, it is really interesting for a team that isn't used to playing from behind to find themselves in a situation like they are in the LPL, having dropped 2-set against the WE.A and the rest of World Elite. I mean, it's a pretty rough spot to be in, but I think they're handling it pretty well. You look at their faces; they're definitely feeling confident going into this game, and they do have the late game on their side. All they have to do is prevent LGD. Well, prevent them from doing what LGD likes to do the best, and that's that early game. It might prove yet to be a mistake to give Shuan his favorite jungler, but by the same token, this is not as emphasized, the pick-ban phase in China. They really more focus on the moment you get into Summoner's Rift, we're going to make plays, and, well, here we go. Lining up the line of scrimmage, we like to call it, as they start out nice and safe openings, hoping to get some wards on the outside.
Yeah, it is the line of scrimmage pretty much across the board. It looks like a delayed invade might come in as World League Academy is kind of grouped up.
Yeah, and actually the most forward was a Kog'Maw, and, well, they answered right back on that one. PYL said, here, take a musical note, and those hurt, apparently.
Obviously, that power chord coming in, pretty effective.
It's good. It's effective at melting faces, and Kog'Maw found that out. But here we go. Here's the delayed invade you were looking for. It's actually not quite delayed. It's only about a minute in, so they'll be just massing up over by this red pit and realizing that there's really nothing else to do here for the next 50 seconds. Just warding it, spending all their trinkets, and that will prompt Shuan to move over with his big buddy Yasuo 17 up there in the top lane. They'll be heading for the alternate red buff. But here we go. It's the massive back. Everyone is spending that recall just because they want to make sure it works. You never know when you need to use it in game and if your B key stuck, right?
LGD is in a very sketch situation here. They are sitting unbeknownst onto a ward, and World League Academy is pinging them and about to group up and look at them.
Yeah, but there's only 3 in the bush, too, and they have absolutely no idea this is happening. No sweepers spent. Well, on either side, there are a couple of sweepers that were used, but they're not going to be up, and this is the big flank that they're looking for to begin the game. If they can pull 3 kills, including the first blood, it's not 4 minutes. Nope, they're going to see it and get away just in time, or maybe that's that heightened game sense. They're wanting to find the steal here, though. This is 4 members heading out in the outer bush, and, well, Soest, he's getting pretty close to being able to smite it away, but be careful. They see that XR, got to get out of there. There's the Lee Sin kick in, but he's going to get the counter-strike. Nice taking E first. He delayed it that long. The Nami Bumble's going to land. They might get first blood. Oh, my goodness. Kog'Maw picks it up, and Shuan, well played. He unfortunately goes down, though.
You know where you don't want your first blood to go? You don't want to go on the enemy 80 carry, especially when he's playing a hyper carry like Kog'Maw.
Yeah, they're going to settle for those little lizards, but yeah, that's not good.
The only advantage here is that the first blood happened before the 4-minute mark, so obviously not worth the full 400 gold. Going to take that 250 back to him, but the experience that he now got, it's not as relevant because it is a 2v1 lane, so obviously he's not going to have an experience advantage over his direct lane opponent, which, I mean, obviously he will because they're double jungling meta, but it's not as big as, say, the rush to level 6, who's going to get it first and expend that ultimate.
But it does delay the power spike of Shuan quite a bit, and this is a real sigh of relief for World League Academy. They are not going to have too much trouble, at least for the first couple of minutes, because Lee Sin now has to catch up, get his buffs back, at least pick up his blue, and that gives them a lot of time to be able to do, well, some sneaky things like this. Here's a little roam out here, and XR are going to be popping that counter-strike. There's the leap. They're going to land onto WE.A, focusing him, forcing to flash, and he pops himself a health pot. Does get away for the time being, but they're happy to burn that flash, and, well, we see the 2v0 and 2v0 happening. Well, it's just a 1v0 in the bottom, as there is a roaming mermaid going around that jungle.
And the roam has definitely picked up, has certainly picked up in the LPL. I feel like World League actually really led the way in the playoffs with their Leona roam. Taking WE.A's flash, huge source of problem right there. I mean, now really the lane is in full control of WE.A there.
It's an interesting trade-up to see what they're doing. Both the ADC and support on LGD heading in the top lane, trying to shove that tower down as fast as possible, and only just now does Nami actually join the party down in the bot with SMLZ. So we do get into a pause situation, and the players just kind of thinking, okay, all right, well, we get to take a nice little breather, because this is when you get first blood like that and then you start to try roaming around, all bets are off as far as what the standard opening of the game is. You just try and snowball if you're ahead, you try and catch back up and even out the game if you're behind, and the pause actually benefits both teams in this way. It lets the blood cool a little bit, and I think you can see they're both a little bit relieved. Even a little bit bored. You see the yawn coming out there.
Yeah, but it definitely also slows down momentum. I mean, if your team has just picked up all of these kills, excuse me, not all these kills, but all of these primary, got the first blood, got the flash, was contesting the red buff, and then it goes straight into a pause, that kind of slows down that momentum that you had built up. So definitely in favor for for LGD here to kind of, catch up, refocus. What do we need to do? How are we going to fix this?
You gotta be wondering what's going through their minds now, and they definitely like to run these long kind of diving comp situations where they're going to be headlong barreling into the enemy team, but you need to be reasonably ahead to do that. And the way this game, I know it's just First Blood, but the way this game is going, they just seem like half a step behind right now. Letting XR roam around like crazy along with Soas, this is a pretty dangerous proposition, considering even though Jax is not really going to hit a huge power spike until later in the game, you want to focus him down, and then there's a Kha'Zix on your tail. It's definitely a problem, but they're going to try and turn around on GA here. Way less going to be left to his own devices to pick up a little bit of farm, but there's Shuan on the outside along with 17, and they can't quite find him just yet.
I wanted to kind of ask you where you are in the game, Pyra. Experiencing a little bit of technical difficulty now on my side. I think I'm like 20 seconds ahead of you. I'm at 446.
Yeah, you are a little bit, actually. Greetings from the future, I suppose. I'm at about 4.5 minutes, 4:40 now, just about. But yeah, we'll try to sort that on the off and make sure we're synced up for the future. But in the meantime, thanks for bearing with me on that one. So we see that PYL is going to be heading up to the top once again to rejoin Lucian and try and push down this tower. But now they're dealing with Jax, who should be able to fend them off reasonably well. XR, again, pretty strong champion, pretty strong variety, and he is so far able to just hold this off by just being scary. But here comes Shuan as well. This is going to be 3v1, but they don't realize, though, Jay on the outside. He can land this bubble to force the initiation. Oh, but he's going to wander right into the bush and right into Shui. Half his health bar vanishes in the blink of an eye, and there's the dash forward. Lucian gets exhausted, but he's going to try to pick the kill up anyways, and he does it. Nicely timed W, and that's going to send XR running back to his second-tier tower. So it's late to the party. Has to run away from that one, too.
And obviously that kill coming in after the 4-minute mark onto the AD carry pretty much puts LGD back into the game.
Yeah, big time for them as they even that up. A nicely timed roam to be able to do this, but they are going to lose tower now. XR, well, excuse me, it's going to be World Elite Academy losing this tower, and XR really has nowhere to go from this. Shuan going to try to dive forward onto him. There's a lot of poking going on to take him down, but they do it without any casualties in there. Shuan hanging around the outside. They're going to try to pick off Soas as well and execute. Whoop, got to be careful. That Lucian is never totally safe as an AD carry, especially in China. They realize how valuable it is, and they want to shut him down so quickly.
But with that pickup in the top lane, they're not only going to grab that kill goal, but then also push down the tower. So definitely a good power spike into this early game. We should start seeing teams group up in the mid now.
And speaking of mid, there's GA. Oh, he gets away. And now that there's a slight break in the craziness, well, maybe not yet. PYL's getting caught up by a bubble, but they can't follow up. It's worth noting that I believe it's 17, or Q as we like to refer to him also. Is he running? Is he the AD carry this game, or did they actually send him to the top lane?
Are you talking about LGD?
Mm-hmm.
He's on AD carry.
Okay, so it's a different 17 that they're sending to the top lane.
That's Star.
Are you sure it's Star? Okay, I was actually confused about that one, but okay, so everything is quite normal, but these names are always just... It's crazy when they mix them up. I cannot quite wrap my head around it all the time.
They change their names frequently and all the time. It is a little bit confusing to keep up with them.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit confusing unless you actually are able to keep on top of it all the time. So basically right now, the game is sort of settled into this little more even phase. There has been one tower taken by LGD, and they have sort of a power play as they have 1,500 gold in the lead. But by the same token, there's still a lot of late game potential for World Elite Academy, and all they need to do, as you mentioned earlier, is hold on. And it looks like we have another pause. So we were mentioning a couple of stream issues as well. I'm actually going to hit refresh while that happens. So guys, thanks once again for bearing with us while we try to do that, but we'll work through the fortunate timing of the pause for us, unfortunate for the players.
And I just want to emphasize again, so this weekend for the Domestic Cup, we will be continuously using the broadcast and streaming over the Chinese stream. We are in conversation with Garvey. Again, huge shout out to Garvey. He's been fantastic through this entire process to getting us all Tournament Realm accounts, getting set up. So we will have the Tournament Realm accounts hopefully for tomorrow weekend if all the tech issues get sorted out. So bear with us. Unfortunately, we're still casting the old way. Had a little bit of delay on getting those Tournament Realm accounts up and running.
Yeah, but I'm really
excited. Who would have
for
imagined?
those. It is amazing that we're going to get this going, and you know, I want to second it. Big ups to Garvey and Twitch and to Tencent for cooperating and helping us put this one on. I really, really appreciate all the support they've been giving us in the English-speaking community who would like to watch and check out more Chinese League of Legends. I mean, this is just such a fantastic region with amazing talent, and I'm just really happy it's happening.
Let me know when the unpause happens for you and the stream gets back loaded up.
It did, actually. You timed it with exactly what you said.
Okay, so I'm at 7:55.
Yep, I'm still a little bit behind you, but it's not as bad as it was, so we'll be able to manage through this. We can do it. We're the casting team. All right.
Excellent.
So here we go. There's settling back into this weird return of normalcy. It's 8 minutes into the game, and you see both Lucian and Sona migrating down to that bot side. They managed to make it, avoiding the bubbles too, and just trying to keep their tower safe. As this bot lane is going to be pretty hotly contested, since both towers didn't take a whole lot of damage in the early on. But there's a lot of buddy systems still going between Star and Shuan in that top side. They're going to look to dive onto XR. They've really been picking on Jax this game.
And obviously you want to pick on Jax. I feel like this map setup definitely favors him right now. Obviously his tower going down. Yasuo has a very long way to run to safety should a jungler or a mid laner wander their way up to him. Whereas Jax, you know, XR gets to freeze the lane, free farm it out. And this is kind of why we saw the resurgence of Ryze and Jax in the 4v0 meta. Those towers come down, it opens up this extended long lane. They just get to hold the minion wave and kind of bypass straight into late game. The advantage that Star has on his Yasuo here, of course, a very mobile champion, so it is a little bit harder to lock him down, but this is not where he wants to be.
He's really having a lot of trouble, like, just kind of staying there. I mean, he doesn't really want to deal with Jax. The later the game goes, it's going to be a bigger problem, too. And he's also opted for a lot of mobility to try and make these roams happen, too. He's got, you know, the attack speed boots already, and he's literally just sitting on a Doran's Blade. He's been getting out-farmed, too, by just on the roaming end. Oh my goodness, we have another pause, and I think I will take the opportunity to do another quick refresh. So, it's happening on both our streams, guys. It's Streamception. So, once again, I'm going to go back to the higher quality stream. Sorry for the quick drop in quality. I just wanted to make sure that we have everything all settled and up to bring you guys the best possible streaming quality that we can. And once we do get those Tournament Realm accounts, it's going to be a breeze. I'm so looking forward to this.
I'm just super excited to be able to spectate these players up and close.
You get some real scouting intent. I mean, a lot of people aren't able to see it, which is really cool. Okay, looks like the game did get back in, so we'll hop back into that one. Cool. Back to it, and I'm about 9:30. I hope I'm synced up with you finally.
I'm about 9:37, so we are much closer than the 20 seconds.
We're getting there. It's like one of those. It's like when two people try to synchronize their watches and they keep interrupting each other. But we're getting there. I'll try not to give too much away, but we were talking about the CS difference in the top lane, of course, 36 to 47 in favor of XR's Jax here, which is to be expected because he had a large minion wave pushed against him. So it's actually far more even and far closer than we really give it credit to. You know, and I think I have a correction actually. I got a little bit of information that it is actually 17 in the top, so it's not just Star using a different name. They had to sub it out, so we have Q, also known as 17. So that's, you know, there's two 17s. It's kind of funny how that works out. But instead of Star, we have 17 in the top lane for LGD. And, well, he's chasing down XR right now. See if he can put the damage on him. Shuan actually going to flash forward into a dragon kick. Not quite so very effective. And looks like XR going to keep on trying to get out of there, but he should go down anyways. Looks like it's going to be Shuan picking up the kill. That's actually his first of the game.
And definitely with that pickup on the Jax, it also leaves the dragon open. We'll see if World Elite Academy is going to try to go for something here. They do know where the enemy jungler are, so they can gank effectively without fear of a counter gank. But it looks like LGD kind of knows something fishy is going to come up, backing out of that lane.
Yeah, they just got to be really careful right now because World Elite Academy just lost their top laner just for a few seconds. They do know that there's been a lot of hefty map presence on this bot side just because of the roam potential from WE.A, and between Q and PYL just constantly maintaining pressure in that bottom side. It's really hard to take without alerting the rest of the team to your presence. And they're down 2,000 gold right now, 2,500 just about. It's really hard to do effectively without getting caught. They really want it. You can tell they're motioning for it, but it's so difficult to pull off without dying. And oh no, he's going to get caught trying to do his race, take about half his health and damage. And man, Shuan and 17 just love roaming together. It has been very effective this game for them too.
I feel like there's no reason for Soas to be in that side of the jungle. I mean, unfortunately, that's where his red buff is, but we've actually seen him spending a lot of time. Kobe did a really good analysis about when you have this new kind of double jungle buddy system going on, that the map, instead of being split I want to say horizontally. I actually think it's vertically right now. No, it's horizon. Yeah, instead of the map being split horizontally, it's now split more vertically. So the top part of the map really belongs to LGD, which is why you see such a dominating jungle presence there, because they have the numbers advantage, they have the towers advantage. Not quite sure what SOS is doing in that jungle. Definitely is going to get punished for it, but shouldn't see the bug roaming out of his own side for quite a bit there.
Yeah, they kind of put the fear in him, and this is part of the issue when you pick up a Kha'Zix and don't get a lot of kills. It doesn't help you to really be super effective for your team. All you can do at that point is try to be this off-tank that demands attention. And really, they want to put a lot of protection on SMLZ, but they need to get him to the late game. They need to get him a couple more kills. I mean, he's falling behind a little bit onto Q, and that's mostly just because he hasn't been able to farm quite as effectively. And Lucian's kind of hitting this nice early to mid-game power spike. And it's just going to slowly get out of hand unless they can pick a couple of kills. But with PYL protecting him in the bushes right there, it's really difficult for SMLZ to really get anything happening.
And we do have a lot of pings going down, so...
I want to try this dive. Here we go. This is Xuan's time to shine. This is what he loves to do. They know something's up. They're going to back away from this tower, and I think they'll be happy to just take this one down. But SMLC wants to contest this. PYL in tower range. He was taking a couple shots, and there's the Nami bubble to force them to back away from that one. So Xuan shows himself to no avail, and now we have a roam from WE.A coming down. But he's standing on top of a pink ward. Should clear that out. This looks to be potentially the makings of a team fight, and the winner, well, it'll get the spoils if they comes out of that one. It could be Dragon contested. Xuan's caught between way too many people right now. Soist and WE.A are going to just blow him up, and now they have to contend with Q and PYL on the outside, but they're content to pick that one up, get them back into this game. Still down about 1.5K, and, well, look at that. We got another pause.
And that's really the power of the Syndra right there. She's not really considered a highly mobile champion, so I feel like she has the same kind of damage level as a LeBlanc, whereas LeBlanc's going to bring kind of the distortion and the roam power. Syndra doesn't have that. What Syndra does do fantastically is what we saw right there. She kind of wanders in, she stands in a bush, and she waits for you to walk into her. Obviously, having the highest burst or single target burst damage in the game doesn't help, and quickly made work of Qian.
Yep, it was a really nice roam, to be honest, because it happened at a time when WE.A was back just a little bit, so even if he did see it, he might have thought that maybe she had just backed for a moment and wasn't going anywhere. So it's always one of those plausible deniability mind games things where you're not sure what your enemy laner is doing exactly, and it's really difficult to warn. So they had a couple of pings go down, but they weren't right in that area. They saw on a pink ward, and then Xuan tried to go in on that, and then in comes a Kha'Zix, and that's exactly what World Elite Academy needed to make happen.
But we're having another pause come out, and it seems like it's always on the side of World Elite Academy. I see that Q was talking back and forth to someone behind him, so not sure what his side, if it's a mouse issue, a mechanical issue.
They got to get one of those snazzy Logitechs that we keep seeing in the commercials.
They've got some really nice peripherals there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love the production setup, and the equipment they do end up using for it is pretty cool. I want one of those chairs. Those like super duper like racing video game chairs.
I guess this is a good time to actually talk about the arena itself, because we are talking about kind of the production quality, the peripherals available to the players. Obviously, they do bring in their own mice and keyboards, but LPL, this split, is actually host in a new arena. I think it's the Shanghai... I want to say it's like the Shanghai Expo Center. I could be wrong, but it is a larger arena. The production value is far superior than it was last year, which... I mean, last split. Last split, it was fantastic. I think this split, we had an opening with a Chinese rap artist, which was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, that was a really, I want to say, interesting thing. I think we got a couple of video feeds of that one as well. It's really cool that they try a lot of different stuff and bring it in. I mean, looking at what like other regions like to do for their own production, it's kind of cool because every region's kind of got their promotional thing, as it were.
Yeah, I actually feel that. I mean, you think about like OGN's production value, which is huge and off the charts right there. I feel like it's more like a sporting event, like a.
Certainly feels
and I feel like LPL is more of like a concert, not in the music sense, but kind of like in the lighting and the stage. They've got the fire and the giant screens. I don't know. It reads pretty entertaining to me.
Well, that's why PYL picked Sona. They want to add a little music to that one.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, well, we didn't talk too much about some of the potential dynamics between these teams, too, because all the team fights, they really haven't been team fights. It's just a lot of scattered skirmishes, and that's why you see such a low kill count. I mean, for those of you that may not know, the Chinese typically will have this very, very high level of kills, deaths, assists in any given game, just because they love team fighting. They love to prematurely end the lane phase. LGD is just kind of an atypical team in that regard.
They are very hyper aggressive, and like you said, the Chinese teams. It's what is the joke that goes around? It's challenger or not challenger, like the highest level of mechanics with bronze strategy. Not that some teams haven't shown fantastic strategy, but it's almost like they're playing a different game. It's not League of Legends, it's deathmatch. These teams are bloodbaths for each other.
They really, really, really love to get those early on kills. And, I mean, we saw a little bit of that in the dashing through the bushes. I mean, it was crazy that only one kill actually went down in that entire level 1 that went through. But these things are so darn close every single time, and those are where the ridiculous mechanics come in. You see these players escaping death by just that much every single time.
Exactly. I totally had a point. I completely just spaced it. It must be the hour. I'm like sitting staring at this pause, and I was just thinking, there's something that's really important about LGD. I just can't quite remember what it is.
It's the fact that they don't have cool
feelings?
backpacks that say W in the back. See those ones? No, I mean, like the World League players always, of course, have to like stash their stuff in the back when they're getting onto stage. I wonder if you can buy those on the store. I really would love to get one.
I wish that Riot would focus on their client and allow the Chinese icons. I feel like we have the OGN icons, but I still can't buy LPL icons. How am I supposed to show my Invictus Gaming swag?
You can use that pretty awesome background that I know you have. But yeah, I'd love to see them in the icon. So you can buy the LMQ one, but I know it's only one thing. Well, we're back into game.
6th place LPL team. Not gonna say anything. Just 6th place LPL team.
Shots
they come to North America and they crush.
Well, they're doing pretty well, so good for them. But anyways, back into this game, SMLZ wandering around this bot side, trying to bait out a bit of an attack. Hey guys, I'm just a squishy little Kog'Maw right now. You can dive me, right? And they're not going to take the bite, so Soish will back away. He's a little bit low too, not really going to be able to contest too much, and be joined by WE.A in the bot lane. But mid lane continues to trade itself pretty well, although you do see WE.A definitely out farming, and apart from that one roam kill that GA pulled off, frankly, a little bit outclassing his opponent.
I actually really like Wayless's decision here. Effectively, the Syndra-Orianna matchup does not favor Orianna. We saw that at All-Stars when Xiang, known as the Syndra player, took on Faker's Orianna, and Faker had a bit of a hard time with it. It's just not good for Orianna. He's effectively choosing not to play into Syndra's game, not to give him the 1v1, and it is pretty much double jungle on the mid, farming up more effectively than his corresponding Xie.
And yeah, everybody on LG is actually performing pretty solidly. There have been a lot of big Lee Sin plays, as we've seen. Oh, XR back to the top lane, trying to push the waves back. What is a problem for LGD, though, is that they do have a bit of a time bomb kind of hanging over their head. Not only do they have a pretty early game team, and historically they don't perform as well in those longer series, but you have to contend with a Jax, a Kog'Maw, a Syndra. These are very scary champions towards the later end of the game that can just simply blow you up, and in Jax's case, never die.
I mean, I understand what you're saying as far as the AD carry, but they do also have the Yasuo and the Orianna, which definitely excel into that late game phase.
That's true. Oh, 17 might get baited. Star, come on. Oh, flash away. Forgetting it's not Star. But he's just going to, oh my goodness, he goes back in for the ult, and he gets the double kill on a last breath. It really was his last breath. Look at that health bar. A fantastic play by 17. LGD looking pretty solid towards this mid game.
That was one of the best Yasuo plays I've ever seen, but meanwhile, in the mid lane, things get a little frisky.
Oh, he's going to get the big kickback, and the ball connected. Did miss on the on the edge of it just barely, but Wayless is going to secure it up nonetheless, and that's a kill over to him too. Well, he's not a very greedy jungler. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, SMLZ, oh, he's getting ignited. Can he run away from that in time? No, he cannot. He's going to get the Acathian surprise. Probably should have just stayed closer to the rest of his opponents, but unfortunately, down he goes, and down goes a tower as well. LGD is just starting to snowball this ahead. This is exactly what they needed to happen, and the laning phase very clearly has just about ended.
And effectively what you had was a huge sweep of power in one fell swoop. You had the 2 kills go down in the top lane, the single kill and the tower go down in the mid lane, and then meanwhile, bot lane, Kog'Maw gets picked up as well as another tower. So global objectives down, kills across the board onto the carries that they want. Like you said, LGD in the power state right now. We are going to see a replay of this fantastic Yasuo ultimate.
I'm so excited for this. They go in. 17 is like, oh, I can get out. I can get these guys. I can get these guys. And he turns right on around, waits until they're under tower range, gets his Q off, pops his last breath, and with just one more tower shot for an assist, he manages to pick up the double kill. And that is the power of a truly great Yasuo player. What a fantastic job on the part of 17.
And in one fell swoop, that's a 7K gold lead in favor of LGD right here.
This is a problem for WE right now. They cannot play that well from behind. They've been so troubled by it lately. And here we go, another one-on-one going on. XR, his health bar is just taken so low, so fast. And 17 wants to dive this. He's going to get it out. He doesn't even care if he's tanking tower shots and minions. He is starting to snowball so hard this game. They've got 3 kills on him. They've got 3 kills on Q. LGD is playing this out so well.
And now the pings are going down for the Baron. This would be a 17, 18-minute Baron.
Here we go again.
I know, right?
There's no Jax, guys. We can do this. We can Baron. PYL is tanking the shots from it, and he has to actually get a shield out, but they're going to back away. I feel like in China, they like to Baron bait by just actually like playing chicken. They love to just see how far they can take the Baron, and if they don't, their enemy teams don't bite, they're like, oh, we'll just take the Baron then.
Well, 9 times out of 10, Baron isn't even warded. The warding in China is pretty underdeveloped. We start to see a little bit of a rise there, but again, that quality versus quantity of warding. Thankfully, World Elite Academy did read that right away, put that to an end, but it wouldn't be so surprising if that Baron had gone completely uncontested and completely in the dark. Thankfully for World Elite Academy, it didn't, so they get another chance at this, but again, LGD looking at their watches. Hey guys, we're ahead. Is it time to throw? Go to Baron.
Yeah, it just so frequently happens, but they just really put a lot of emphasis on that particular objective. Now, speaking of warding, they did do a pretty good job at keeping that area particularly visioned up. They got a couple of pink wards, one, of course, at the pit itself, and the other one hanging out in that bush. They have a couple in the topside jungle as well, but those were, you only see the only red wards that were placed there. XR, who's, by the way, clearing that pink ward over at the Baron pit, and Baron's not too happy to see him, were only placed when they know that the rest of LGD was actually sitting in that pit. So World Elite Academy definitely playing the much more reactive game, and as we've seen, they're not quite so good at playing from behind.
Yeah, we did talk about earlier how they are much more about my future sense coming in, knowing that there's not going to be a kill there.
Cough. That's the indicator. Okay. Secret codes,
I know, right?
This.
No, World Elite Academy, they need to win lane to come out really strong. I feel like in the open team fight phase, they fall behind. They look much weaker. The coordination's not there. Obviously, they have a brand new captain. They have a brand new support. Ari stepping down, UJ stepping in as their support right there, that Nami player. So not unexpected to see kind of communication issues, shot calling issues across the board, a little bit of disorganization, but this is not in their favor. We'll see if they can hold on and kind of create a space for SMLZ to thrive on that Kog'Maw. But I feel like LGD's composition has answers if Kog'Maw ever gets out of hand. Like right now, you have 17, fantastic Yasuo performance already in the game. What is Kog'Maw going to do against the mobility, the nuke, and the dive potential of that champion?
We'll see what they end up doing. I'm sorry, the stream is actually lagging just a little bit. This is a really inopportune moment because LGD is actually going for a Baron once again. Because here they go, and they're going to back away from it once again. Oriana Ball is going to come in. They're going to go right back to it. It is really just a bait-and-switch game. Constantly, they want to see how far they can push the envelope. 17 taking a lot of shots from the Baron, but he's taking it up quite well. Meanwhile, XR coming around the top side, and, well, I wish we could see the end of this, but unfortunately, my stream's just not cooperating right now. I apologize, guys.
I am still live, however, so I can maybe do a little bit of a radio talk show here. They've pretty much backed off of the Baron, been forced off by World Elite Academy. It's now a standoff in front of it trying to control vision, but they have not left the Baron area. Standing in front of the pit, putting down offensive pinks, and now it looks like LGD is actually looking for a chase. Obviously, World Elite Academy very consistent at disengaging. Looks like they're going to draw pressure to the mid lane, and everyone's going to back off the Baron and say, you know what, we're not going to pull the trigger on this. We're not going to throw just quite yet.
Okay, thank you, by the way, so much for keeping everybody informed while we're in the dark. Apologies once again, guys. I'm swapping it over for just a minute as I try to refresh the stream, and hopefully we get back to a bit of normalcy. But this is something that the teams do quite frequently. They like to, again, we talked about them just baiting it, never leaving it. There's always an opportunity for them to do it. And it looks like they're actually just going to go over to Dragon now, and that one is going to go over to LGD. So excellent job on that particular objective control this game.
Second Dragon of the game for them. Obviously, Dragon worth more gold early, so not too bad a pickup. They are closing in on the 10K gold gap, however, 35K to 27K, so this is definitely spiraling out of hand for World Elite Academy very quickly.
Yeah,
I know what I wanted to talk about.
Okay, please go ahead, as we've now gotten back in finally.
I wanted to talk about the Syndra-Nami composition. We saw World Elite actually run this in the playoffs, and I was like, this looks so familiar, but it's World Elite Academy, and I know I haven't really watched them as often as I should have. World Elite ran the Nami Syndra in the playoffs to a lot of success. It's fantastic because you think about the disengage that those two champions have. Of course, you have the tidal wave, you have the bubbles, you have the speed up from Nami, but then the long-range Syndra stun, it creates a fantastic zone for Kog'Maw.
Yeah, you cannot push into it because that's Syndra is so reliant on getting right up in people's faces and making that happen. So it's kind of just a really good tool to once again protect the ADC. Nami works really well for that as well. I said Nami, not Nami. I've been watching quite a lot of LPL, as you can tell.
It's awful when EDG play Nami because you're like, it's Nami, and you're like, oh no,
well,
please.
It's a good thing he plays AD carry and not support because it would be really weird to see Nami on Nami.
My tongue would never get over that.
Yeah, it would be a little bit
It would be
ridiculous.
twisted for the rest of my life.
He would just have to change his name again. Anyways.
But it looks like... Oh, we are going to break it down into a little bit of an ARAM here. Again, that Baron dance. Everyone is aware of it now. LGD has made their intentions very clear.
It's come over right into the mid lane, and now they're going to go right back towards it. But LGD definitely wants this, and they're in a good position to try and take it as they're up so far ahead in gold. And you can already tell that they're focusing on this the team fight view. They don't want to show anyone's items so we can get as maximum amount of the action as possible. But turning back towards the mid lane now as everyone just kind of collapses there once again. X1 does have his teleport available, so if this fight does happen to go, it's going to be a 5v5. This is about the point where Jax does start getting reasonably good, but he's been so held back this game in terms of kills, been forced out of lane and killed 4 times. He's only sitting on a Blade of the Rune King right now, and it's kind of a problem for them. World Elite looking to try and find an angle that they can take and engage, not being given one.
The issue for XR, though, excuse me, I should say the issue for LGD, really, though, is that XR is on a champion that is item-dependent. So, yes, he is sitting 0-4-1. However, he is up in CS, and Jax, again, item-dependent champion. It's only a matter of time before he becomes Jax no matter what.
And there's always that ticking time bomb that we have to worry about. And, again, there are a good number of people that are going to fall off. And, whoa, that Nami ult. They did actually manage to catch way less on it, but no engagement possible.
Is a classic Chinese Nami ult, and that's exactly what I'm saying.
They just want to they just want to wave hello, and they do.
I feel like they don't know how to use that cooldown at all.
And that's going to be not available for this siege up, too. There's a bit of a mistake by UJ, and of course, oh, there's a big command shockwave, and once again, the stream is going to decide to not cooperate while we're doing that. I'm really sorry once again, but Frost, you want to take it away from here while we're trying to make that happen?
So the shockwave came in, followed by the crescendo. Obviously, LGD reading that the disengage, the Nami tidal wave was down as it was a big long range there. They go ahead and they effectively shove World Elite Academy off of the tower, picking up the Nami kill in return as well as the tower, and then they're immediately transitioning into Baron. World Elite Academy is all injured, they're back. They have 3 members in position to try to contest this Baron, but it's completely dark. So SOS doesn't have vision for a smite.
Yeah, and
Baron's at about 25% HP.
I'm freezing on them, just trying to be chased off it right now. So, okay, we're back to it. Baron is still aggroing, actually, on Q, and this is not the person that you want to have completely safe. And LGD looking to take a fight around the side. Not going to be given one, though. This is a very, very careful play from World Elite Academy, but Sois on the wrong side of the jungle right now, forced to burn his flash, and I don't know if he's going to get away from this as Shuan chasing him down towards his red, tries to land a Sonic Wave on it, does whiff it, and there's the jump from Kha'Zix into the pit, but Lucian now on the chase around the side. He's not giving up on this one. Q's going to dodge in. Whoa, he gets a large amount of damage bursted onto him, and that is why they favor Lucian, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, up in the top, XR going to take the opportunity to answer back with a tower, but kill for the jungler. Or kill on the jungler, rather.
I feel like, I mean, obviously not good that SOS died there, and Q, very fed, 5-0-1, is looking at his Name build. Actually, Nami this time has the Brutalizer there available for the Ghost Blade, has the Lucidity boots, something Nami patented that other regions are starting to pick up on. But XR, being left alone. We talked about how Jax is an item-dependent champion. You cannot leave him alone. You have to end the game before he becomes a problem. And LGD is kind of, they're kind of dicking around. To be frank and to be honest with this Baron. They don't need the Baron to win. They are far ahead enough in gold. They have really great siege potential. I mean, you have Orianna, who obviously can create a very large zone off of a tower, can clear mini waves very quickly. You have Lucian, who excels in pushing down towers with his passive. He has the Sheen there, so the procs are going to hurt. You have Yasuo, who if he gets up to a tower, and he also has the split push potential. Like, I feel like LGD has so many threats to just focus on objectives, but instead they're dicking around with this Baron, and it might cost them the game. I mean, if SOAS gets a smite steal here, it pretty much puts World Elite Academy back into the match.
Yeah, it's a very, very risky maneuver, but at the same time, it does one of two things. You either get the Baron, which is great, or you force a response out of World Elite Academy. You can see they're just looking for a pick. Haven't been able to catch one. Oh my goodness, Xuan, there's a big connection with the ball, and they're going to blow him up on a last breath. The big Nami ult comes out right in the way, but Baron is not amused, and they'll hop back into the pit, pick up the kill on that one, and WE.A is going to get the credit for it. They didn't even need the smite, so they'll pick themselves up a kill onto SOAS, pick themselves up the Baron as well. XR wasn't even a part of that when he's been just split pushing in the bot side, but this is going to be the big siege that LGD is looking to push forward for. They have themselves a fairly massive lead. You mentioned 10,000 gold. At this point, well, they're looking to push towers.
World Elite Academy needs to get back into position here because this tower is going to drop incredibly quickly there. The Q damage coming out, Q's damage coming out, melting that. Look at that inhibitor.
It is non-existent anymore. Down it goes. A feint of resistance from SMLZ, popping the living artillery to try and make some form of offensive against this team. But LGD roaming way too well together, going to clear out a couple of jungle wards, back themselves away, and very content that they managed to take a clean kill, a clean Baron, and a clean inhibitor in this game. Now they're turning on for Dragon, 28.5 minutes. This is looking like their game.
Like you said, a clean Dragon indeed. And you did mention that, you know, on the side of World Elite Academy, you do have Syndra with her passive. She does scale decently into late game. You have Kog'Maw, of course, a huge late game threat. You have Jax. But again, on the other side, LGD, they have Yasuo, they have Orianna. So they have like really good answers to scale into late game just as hard. And they have really good answers to if a Kog'Maw gets off. That Yasuo, 4, 1, and 2, a fantastic showing, has his Infinity Edge, has his static shiv, is working on his Bork right now. So huge damage and huge items. I think his passive is pretty much maxed out at this point. But, ooh, Chuan getting caught out.
Oh, that was very, very close. He did manage to sneak away that blue buff. They'll let him have it. They don't, you know, they really can't do much about it at any point. Although if they do start getting shutdowns, it'd be huge. The real key right now is to try and focus down Q. He has got a massive, massive lead over SMLZ. 5-0-1. They have done such a fantastic job at keeping him alive. But the mobility, I mean, this is the reason Lucian is so frequently picked. He's incredibly high mobility. He's incredibly high burst. And even though he does fall off a little bit in the late game, they've got such a lead at this point that they really truly can end it with just a brute force approach. And this is what LGD loves to be in. This is the situation that they know and love.
And I did want to touch a little bit as another pause does go out. Wow. I wanted to touch a little bit on Q's Lucian build. Of course, we talked about how it is Nami's build that he patented there. There is actually a disconnect on Chuan this time.
Yeah, I'll take the opportunity to try and make my stream work again as well.
I just want to explain it a little bit. So Lucidity built boots. Nami has said that obviously you need max CDR. I believe he also runs CDR and mana regen on his rune set to utilize Lucian's Q and E effectively. You have the Ghost Blade, which is a fantastic mid-game power spike. It's actually more cost-effective than Phantom Dancer, and it gives you, again, that mid-game power spike that you really want. And then when you pop it and you pop Lucian's ult, you actually get more shots off. And because Lucian's ult doesn't have a like a quote cast animation, it's not like Lucian has to stop moving like bullet time to cast it. You get the speed up. It just makes culling someone that much easier. So it synergizes really well with Lucian, and I really like the fact that it's starting to bleed over into other regions. In fact, Altac contacted Kelsey the other day asking for Name's runes and builds. So I'd be really excited to see him pick that up and bring it over to the NALCS.
Yeah, I love how there's a lot of interregional viewing. People are just very, very... people that aren't as extremely knowledgeable about all the other scenes are getting really into it, just trying to make sure that they can get the edge by looking at what every region is doing. I mean, everybody's going to copy everyone else to some extent. They want to take a look at what the best in each region are doing, and, you know, somewhat try to emulate it. But, you know, you look to, like, people that have traditionally been considered, like, the innovators. You look to Korea. China is in there as well. Not only do they play on the Korea servers and learn a lot faster than a lot of people, but they also do a lot of things that you just don't see. And you look at the same kind of thing in the Garena Premier League over in Southeast Asia. They do some absolutely crazy stuff. And, you know, what works, what doesn't, some of it bleeds over, right?
They've had quite a few picks. Obviously, the Annie mid pick. Let me know when you're back in game. Or excuse me, not Annie mid, Annie support pick coming over. They were one of the first regions to do the Shyvana top. Ryze top came out very early for them. The Pantheon jungle, they played that in April of 2013. So they've definitely had their mark on the international scene, whether people know it or not.
And thanks again, guys, for bearing with us while we try to get the stream back up and running. But we're back into it, so all little technical issues aside, and it's all temporary as well as, of course, those Tournament Realm accounts coming very soon, we promise. But big siege going on for LGD as they look to push down the second inhibitor of the game. Still got a bit of time at about 31 minutes into the game where they can work with, and one inhibitor already down. World Elite Academy stretched very thin on this one, trying to push back as well as they can. And LGD, whoa! Q is taken extremely low, but they cannot act on it, and the Baron buff's still active too. So this would be the time for Academy to really push forward and try to make something of it, but they just do not have the pressure.
It's literally the game of attrition. They're just waiting on that big mid wave of those supers to get into the base, utilize the Baron region, and force World Elite Academy to spread their resources too thin. They do have a fantastic dive comp, obviously the Yasuo with the shockwave, if they saw a numbers advantage on a tower. So World Elite Academy has to be very careful here.
They're really kind of treading on, I want to say very thin ice, but it's getting thinner by the moment. So any real push they do at this point has to be a decisive pick up 3-4 kills, do a good trade so they can start pushing objectives. I mean, there's still second tier turrets on every lane, and there's many ways pushing against them in just about every lane. The jungle is completely warded up by LGD. World Elite Academy just has not made any moves, and they're so not used to playing from behind. You can just tell that they're slipping further and further away from this game.
They're not used to losing, despite the fact that they came into their first week of LPL getting 2-0'd by their sister team, World Elite. They frankly, they're not used to losing. They were the top team in LSPL, obviously coming in as the #1 spot into LPL. They had a great showing in the G League when they faced their sister team and 2-0'd them. Really, all of their problems started around IET, where they had a pretty abysmal showing. But again, that kind of started around when their team drama with their captain Ari started to pop up.
Yeah, and then, of course, all the aforementioned fallout from all of that. But, you know, this partially might be the growing pains of picking up WE.A as well. And, you know, throwing him immediately into this captain position. This is a lot of responsibility, and leaning on a support player, too. Very interesting that both these teams do that, but you can really tell the difference of levels of trust. These engagements from that PYL's been calling on LGD have just been so much cleaner.
Definitely here. I'm about at 33.09.
Yeah, actually experiencing more lag, and once again, guys, we really do apologize for all of the troubles that have gone down. It looks like the stream decided not to cooperate at all, so I'll try once again to get this going. But you care to let us know what's going on with your end?
Well, there is another pause, and I'm just going to make the call.
Quite well.
I'm just going to make the call right now that after this game, we will switch stream hosts. So hopefully we won't experience the same lag. I'll host the stream next time, so hopefully we can get these issues evened out here. But on the other side, it looks like there's a lot of issues as well. I mean, this is the 5th pause of the game?
I know. It's not just us, apparently. So this is something that you know, you just have to kind of deal with. I mean, when you're talking about online games, you're going to run into issues. Sometimes it's peripheral related, sometimes it's network connection. Not so much when you've got a live event, of course, but you just never know when it's going to come up. And this is why, of course, they have a good number of protocols in place to make sure things don't go too downhill. But I don't think I've seen this many pauses in any level of competition.
Is this the Garena League? Where's Chris?
We'll talk to Chris in a moment about this one. He knows what's happening, like, live on it anyways.
I think shots fired. I think that was a little bit of a low blow.
Yeah, it was a little mean. You're going to have to apologize for that one.
Sorry, Chris.
Okay, I forgive you for him.
That's all that matters.
Hopefully you forgive me for this stream quality. I really do apologize.
No, it's fine. We'll get it worked out next time. I'm already setting up my OBS, so as soon as this game's over, we'll go ahead and make that switch, and hopefully it'll be smooth sailing for you guys.
Yeah,
let me know when you're back in game, though, or
yeah,
if I'm going to have to.
Well, if it did get back, you go right on ahead and hop back into the commentating of it.
Okay, well, a big shockwave just went down into the tower, followed up by a crescendo, and Syndra is absolutely deleted from the map, which means that LGD is now pushing onto the last standing inhibitor tower. The bot one does fall down. World Elite Academy now kind of high-fiving each other as they run single-handedly into the enemy team, people dying all over the route. That is 1, 2. Will it be 3? 3. Only one last member surviving. XR on his Jax does manage to get away, but it is a 4-for-none split for LGD here. They are going to pick that inhibitor and now turning onto the Nexus towers to end this game.
Well, at least it's coming to the ending that we all thought it was going to be. So, well, if they do take that Nexus down, that is 1-0 game to them. There will be another chance for World Elite Academy to come back into this one. But so far, they've got to be feeling the pressure now. They've got to be quite distraught at the results that have happened so far.
And with that, the game does end. The first split does go over to LGD. Again, we're going to turn off the stream very quickly and switch over and hopefully get all these issues worked out for you guys. So we'll be right back.
Thank you once again. And thanks for bearing with us, guys. So don't go anywhere. We will turn off the stream very briefly and then hop right back into it, we promise. And we'll be switching the streams up. So don't go anywhere. Once again, you're watching the LPL in English. We'll be right back.